Morning. I am Day. I am in recovery from loss, grief, trauma, and addiction. I have found that upon awakening, it is useful to affirm and devote myself to the me of my recovery, the one that ties all of the pieces and parts of me together, gently, lovingly, and sometimes even fiercely, to face each day. With these daily affirmations, devotions, meditations, and reflections, walk with me on the recovery journey of hope, renewal, resilience, and self reflection. That is one of the tools that I have placed in my toolbox. And as you walk your recovery journey, you will find your own. But walk with me today, listening to these daily affirmations, reflections, devotions, and meditations. And remember that you are not alone. Fair Use Daily Reflections. This is a book of reflections by AA members for AA members. February 19. I am not different. In the beginning, it was 4 whole years before AA brought permanent sobriety to even one alcoholic woman. Like the high bottoms, the women said they were different. The skid rower said he was different. So did the artists and the professional people, the rich, the poor, the religious, the agnostic, the veterans, and the prisoners. Nowadays, all of these and legions more soberly talk about how very much alike all of us alcoholics are when we admit that the chips are finally down. As Bill sees it, page 24. I cannot consider myself different in AA. If I do, isolate myself from others and from contact with my higher power. If I feel isolated in AA, it is not something for which others are responsible. It is something I've created by feeling I'm different in some way. Today I practice being just another alcoholic in the worldwide fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. Fair Use, Courage to Change, One Day at a Time in Al Anon, February 19. When I wrote my fourth step inventory, I carried a notebook around with me day and night. I didn't want to leave out anything. I discovered my first defect obsession. I was still writing 15 minutes before I shared my fifth step. As I took this step and read my words out loud, some of my patterns became clear for the first time. My behavior paralleled that of the alcoholic. The only difference was that I did it sober, insane, but sober. I saw how much I blamed other people for the events in my life, how I took everything personally, and how my reactions to the alcoholic were based on my fears. I expected to feel differently the next day, but nothing much happened except that I felt very tired and a little fragile. But change had begun. As time went by, when I found myself in situations similar to those I had described in my fourth step, I noticed that my reactions were less extreme. Some things that had bothered me terribly no longer mattered. That's when I knew I'd begun to change. Today's reminder: I am learning the nature of my nature. Through the 12 steps, I trust that I will uncover what I need to know for now and leave the rest for another time. I am worth learning about. When we take step 5, we demonstrate a willingness to change in all our affairs. Just for today, Daily Meditations for Recovering Addicts, February 19. Fair Use. Reservations. Relapse is never an accident. Relapse is a sign that we have a reservation in our program. Basic text, page 79. A reservation is something we set aside for future use. In our case, a reservation is the expectation that, if such and such happens, we will surely relapse. What event do we expect will be too painful to bear? Maybe we think that if a spouse or lover leaves us, we will have to get high. If we lose our job, surely we think we will use. Or maybe it's the death of a loved one that we expect to be unbearable. In any case, the reservations we harbor give us the permission to use when they come true, as they often do. We can prepare ourselves for success instead of relapse by examining our expectations and altering them where we can. Most of us carry within us a catalog of anticipated misery closely related to our fears. We can learn how to survive pain by watching other members live through similar pain. We can apply their lessons to our own expectations. Instead of telling ourselves we will have to get high if this happens, we can quietly reassure ourselves that we too can stay clean through whatever life brings us today. Just for today, I will check for any reservations that may endanger my recovery and share them with another addict. Today, Emotions Anonymous, Fair Use, February 19. Reflection for today. How painful it is at times to make choices. We want the best of both worlds, yet most of the time this simply cannot be. We need to give up one thing to gain something else. As we seek guidance from our higher power and from our friends, we are helped to see the choice which will bring us our greatest good. The feeling of loss is also real, and we need to acknowledge this pain. By facing our pain, we are able to let go of the loss and go on once again. Meditation for today. May I have the courage to get off the fence and make a choice. Today I will remember, as I focus on the growth my loss created, the pain of the loss will dissipate. Fair use. Strengthening my recovery. Meditations for adult children of alcoholics' dysfunctional families. February 19. Isolation and grieving. Isolation is our retreat from the paralyzing pain of indecision. This retreat into denial blunts our awareness of the destructive reality of family alcoholism and is the first stage of mourning and grief. BRB, Big Red Book, page 82. Isolation is a way of protecting ourselves from the grief of our childhoods. We were alone, and we had no one who got us. Protecting ourselves through isolation is common among ACAs. Whether we attend meetings, do step work, go to retreats, or just hang around meetings, we can do all of these things and still protect ourselves from the conscious, deeper knowledge of our losses. In an effort to avoid grief, we can share superficially or not at all. We can get to the meeting late and leave as soon as it closes. So even in recovery, we can remain alone as a way of not allowing ourselves to get in touch with the pain of our grief. Yet, this isolation can be a part of the grieving process, and we are entitled to stay isolated as long as we need to in order to feel safe. Though it seems contradictory, as fellow travelers, the best that we can do for someone who is isolating is to allow them to grieve in the way they need to, as long as it doesn't create an unreasonable distraction to the meeting. There is no timetable. On this day, I will give myself permission to grieve in my own way. If I'm isolating, I will be gentle with myself and be where I need to be until I'm ready to reach out. The affirmation read, DHB Recovery Network Daily. Posted 4:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Read by me, Day. DAA are my initials. Share, subscribe, like, and most of all, be the you that you are created to be, one day at a time. And remember, you are not alone. If you are interested in reaching out to me, just add your information in the comments. It may take a little while, but I will get back to you. I am a certified peer counselor